Hey guys, I'm Natalia. Welcome to my channel. Here I speak about the methodology of achieving native-like fluency, and I'm not a native speaker myself. If you are also not a native speaker looking for ways and strategies and tactics to achieve native-like fluency and to continuously improve and enhance your language skills, I hope you're going to find a lot of interesting information here. In this video, I want to speak about the importance of practice routine. It's important to establish your own practice routine and make sure that it's sustainable, enjoyable, and brings results, which to me translates to measurable. It should be a measurable system, and you need to know which measurement system applies when you measure your results when it comes to fluency. I have a podcast which is called How to Measure Fluency. I have a few blog posts. I have another podcast that is coming out soon, actually, another episode of my podcast, which is called How to Fit Infinite Learning into Your Very Finite Day. It's coming out in 2 parts. And in all of this podcast, blog posts, and videos, I speak about one and the same thing, about the importance of establishing your practice routine. Right now, I'm speaking about advanced level students and students who are a little bit more than advanced. You know, we're talking about the feeling when you already are pretty good. You already are advanced, but you don't want to stop. You don't feel like you want to stop because it really makes no sense. You feel how much this practice is giving you. You understand that learning a language is not learning a discipline. Learning a language is actually inseparable from developing your own personality. It's inseparable from who you are and what you can become if you continue to practice. So when you're working on your English skills, on your language skills, on your listening comprehension skills, on your reading fluency, on uncluttering your speech, or on achieving more clarity, or on becoming more articulate, you're not just improving your language skills, you're also investing in your personality. This is what it feels like to me. This is why I don't see the reason to stop. It makes no sense for me to stop practicing. But what I see a lot is that a lot of intermediate level students, advanced students, they don't really have an organized practice routine, which will include deliberate practice. For a lot of people, practice and practice routine means taking classes with an English teacher, where all you need to do is you need to pay for the classes and you need to organize your schedule and you need to show up for a class. And the teacher will know what to do. And the teacher will organize the learning process for you. And the teacher will give you homework. And you are pretty much very dependent on the teacher, their expertise, and what they will tell you to do is what you think you're supposed to be doing. Which is fine, you know, if you're just starting out, if you're a beginner, if you are a pre-intermediate student, you really need a lot of guidance. And even advanced level students, they need a lot of guidance as well. But it's a different type of guidance. I've said it a million times already. I'm going to repeat it one more time in this video. But when you have reached this intermediate plateau or this level where you feel that you already know so much that you understand how much you actually do not know, and you don't feel like you're progressing fast enough. And this is the signal that you actually need to change your tactics. You need to stop acquiring knowledge about the language, which means learning more grammar, learning more vocabulary. No. Instead, you need to learn to acquire skills. I have a list of 9 basic skills that I continuously practice myself, but they can be all united under the umbrella of the skill to learn. How do you continue learning the language on your own? Everybody who joins my native-like fluency group, and it's only for those students who have worked with me or according to my programs for at least 6 months, they already know how the method works and they're ready to continue. Everybody in this native-like fluency group learns how to establish their own practice routine. And this is our main focus there in this group. It's not about me explaining to them advanced grammar that they probably will never use in life. To be honest, they can look it up themselves. These people can look up a new word themselves. These people can remind themselves of a grammar rule they might have forgotten themselves. They don't need me for that. They're pretty advanced, not necessarily in terms of how fluent they are, but how disciplined they are. And I always say that it's not about never making mistakes, because I do make mistakes myself as well. It's really about the speed of correction. How fast do you notice that you've made a mistake, and how fast you can correct it? And do you know what you gotta do to correct it? Where do you go to find the right answer? It's impossible to know and memorize everything, but if you know the right place to go and find the answer, you can find a way out in every situation. So these people know how to do this. And those people, when they join the group, and everybody I speak to, they share the same insights. When I ask them, what exactly do you do to improve your English skills? Because everybody says, I want better English skills. I want to improve my English skills. What do you do? The most popular answers are, I take private English classes. This counts to those people, but a teacher is responsible, not me. I will do my homework, but the teacher knows how I should learn. So English classes, private English classes or group English classes. I watch movies without subtitles, and people try to prove to me that watching movies without subtitles is really the exercise that counts the most. I always watch movies with subtitles because I'm always prepared to hear something that I might not know yet. Maybe there will be a geographical location, maybe there will be a scientific term, maybe there will be a name that is so rarely used, but I always prepare to be amazed, surprised, and to find out something that I don't know yet. And I always practice my own skill of synchronizing the sound and the spelling. A lot of people have this issue where they either can watch a movie or they can read the subtitles. They cannot do both. They cannot synchronize those processes. A lot of people who listen to people during the meetings in the foreign language, they cannot take notes, or they take notes in which they write down what they understand a person said, but not exactly what a person said. So they can't really synchronize those processes. And I know it's hard. This is why I keep practicing it. Every time I sit down to watch a movie or a TV show or a YouTube video, I have a pen in my hand. Always. Another exercise that people usually name is listening to songs, Googling things in English, reading blog posts or reading books in English. And yes, these are all fantastic exercises, but it's a matter of how you do them. Okay, you can listen to songs, but how do you listen to songs? Are they playing in the background? Are they playing in your car as you drive? Okay, you watch movies without subtitles. For how long can you concentrate if you watch a movie without the subtitles? For how long? Usually people cannot keep their focus of attention very sharp for a long amount of time, and a movie is usually 2 hours long. You cannot be very concentrated for 2 hours. What counts here is deliberate practice. And when I ask people, what do you do to practice your English deliberately, they're suddenly lost. Because look, Googling information, reading emails at work that are in English, surrounding yourself with English and talking to your co-workers who speak English, you're maintaining the level that you already have. Yes, but are you really deliberately focusing on improving your language skills? This is the question. And most people come to realize after they analyze this that they don't really have an established practice routine. They do things here and there, sometimes randomly, occasionally, from time to time, when the time comes, when they have the time, when the kids are asleep. It's not a systematic approach. They don't really know what exactly they're practicing, why they need to practice it, and how to measure the results. I want to show how somebody who wants to improve their listening skills and pronunciation skills can build their practice routine. And I myself have about 30-35 exercises I choose from. I have a pool of exercises and I can choose from them, but I make sure that every exercise doesn't take me longer than 20-25 minutes each day. And I make sure that once I start the exercise, I complete it. But it must be a routine. A routine doesn't mean it's just a routine that you follow, but you never enjoy it. Building a routine implies that you gotta be disciplined. You need self-discipline. But if discipline to you means doing the things you don't enjoy because you have to do them, you will never enjoy the process. A routine doesn't have any negative connotation. The word routine doesn't have any negative connotation. You have your morning routine, you have your beauty routine, right? Probably you enjoy those things. So when you have your practice routine, you should be enjoying the process because each time you're getting closer to your results. But it must be deliberate and it must be focused. Let me give you an example. I'm going to be looking at my notes here because I actually wrote down one exercise I can imagine a person can do every single day of the week to show you what your schedule can look like. Routine implies you have a schedule. You know how much time a day you can afford to invest in improving your English skills, what days of the week work best for you, what time of the day works best for you. And it's important that you know yourself how to learn. You don't depend on anybody else's schedule. Look, I'm not saying that private English classes do not work. I'm not saying that individual mentoring doesn't work. It really does work as long as you do your part of the work. It's very important. At this high level where you already are pretty good, but you want to get better, you only can go there yourself. There are no courses anymore, there are no certificates anymore, there are no textbooks anymore. You got to be very creative about your routine, and this is probably my favorite part about it. I can be very creative and I can focus on the things that I need. You can be creative, you must be actually, and you can do this yourself. Of course, guidance and feedback helps tremendously, but if you don't have your practice routine, there is nothing to give you feedback on, really nothing. So this is basic, fundamental. The exercises are going to be from my course, Learn to Hear Every Single Word in English. Everybody who takes this course gets individual feedback on every piece of work they deliver. If you are taking this course, consider applying some principles that I'm going to share now to your practice routine. If you're struggling with listening comprehension and you want to improve your pronunciation, this is what you can do on Monday, let's say Monday or day one. I'm not sure what day of the week is your first day of the week. Day one, let's say Monday, I'm gonna transcribe a short piece of a podcast. This is just my routine. I'm not sure what you like, but what I like to do is I like to listen to a podcast as I prepare breakfast. Every morning or every other morning, I like listening to a very short piece. And if I hear something very interesting, an interesting idea or an interesting word combination, I like to remember it better. And in order to remember it better, I need to write it down. So what I will do is I will go back to that moment that I liked the most, and I will press play and pause every 5 seconds or so to give myself time to write down every single word that I hear. Usually I will write down a sentence or two, but these sentences can be profound, interesting, and they will show me how I can put my ideas into words, because as a non-native speaker, I would have chosen completely different structures and completely different vocabulary. And this shows me my options, that I have other options if I am attentive enough. So with this exercise, I'm really practicing my attentiveness. I am paying deliberate attention to how native speakers talk, to what language and to what wording they actually use to express and articulate these ideas. And I really practice hearing every single word that people say. And once I've written this down, I will always read it out loud. Then I'll play that piece of audio again to compare how I read it with how native speakers read it. And I will read it again and again, as many times as necessary to make it my own. I do not act. It's not really about acting. It's about making it your own. Look, I don't know what you will pay attention to, but the fact that you paid attention to this specific line or to this specific sentence means it was important for you in some way. Everybody pays attention to different things, but if this is something that caught your attention, probably it's something that you need, and it's probably something that you want to learn to say yourself. So practice saying it yourself so that it sounds like you're not reading it, but you own it, and it's something that's coming out of your heart. Usually the exercise takes me about 20-25 minutes, as I said before, and I never transcribe more than 30 seconds. Sometimes I got my 2 lines, 2 sentences, and I'm very happy. Day 2, what you can do on day 2. People who struggle with pronunciation means they need to do a lot of mouth work. So let's say on Tuesday, I will read tongue twisters. There is a video also on my channel where I show you how exactly I work with tongue twisters. Sometimes I also work with German tongue twisters just to warm up my jaw muscles and articulation organs, but it's important for me to teach myself and teach my jaw muscles to work in a different position, because when I speak Russian, I sound completely different. And people who hear me speak Russian on the phone especially, they go like, did I dial the right number? It should be this way. It's normal. And mouth work can mean I will either work with a wine cork. You can also watch another video and see how exactly that works. And I will read tongue twisters of poems or just a paragraph of text, or I will read tongue twisters deliberately, not fast. I will not read them fast. I will read them in a very distinct manner, making sure that I can pronounce every word very distinctly and very clearly. And if I feel confident, then I speed up and I read it distinctly, clearly, and fast, if I can make it. If not, then I don't aim for speed, but I really want to practice that to improve my articulation and just to sound better, so to let my jaw muscles get used to the right position. And usually this will take me about 15 minutes and I'm done. I also will listen to how native speakers read the same tongue twisters. Not just one native speaker, I like listening to a bunch of people who read the same tongue twister. You can find a lot of videos on YouTube, and this kind of feedback that I can give to myself using those videos is very helpful. What do we have next? On Wednesday, what you can do on Wednesday. On Wednesday, I would go to the resource library that I have. If you're taking the listening course, you can go to that library as well. If you're not, then you can use YouTube and find any movie scene on YouTube. I like working with very short movie scenes. In our library, we have over 100 of them, and all of them are handpicked, and they're there for a reason. I work with a movie scene. The movie scene is 3 minutes max, but if you're a beginner, if this is a new exercise to you, start with 1 minute. If you're taking the course, there is a complete and very detailed algorithm of how you work with a video. But let's say you're somebody who wants to improve your pronunciation skills and your listening comprehension skills. I will watch this 1 minute of video without the subtitles first. I will watch it once or twice and I will give myself feedback. How much do I understand here? If you can't really do exact calculations, then ask yourself, ask your gut feeling. You know, a lot of people say, oh, I understand pretty much everything. Maybe there were a couple of words that didn't make sense to me, but I get it. I get the main idea. But you know, honestly, you only get the main idea when you understand every little nuance. If you have done this exercise before, you can hear very clearly how many words you missed, how many words you couldn't hear at all. And then I would watch the same movie scene with subtitles, and trust me, I would watch it as many times as necessary, back and forth, back and forth. And what I would do, I will try to synchronize these processes of listening and understanding the text that I'm seeing. So pretty much you are listening to how a native speaker is reading the lines that you see on screen. And you need to learn to synchronize those processes, and you want to ask yourself, can I hear every word that these people are saying in the movie? Then you really need a pen and you need to do the calculations. How many words are there in this 1 minute video clip? Let's say there are 120 words. And how many words could you not hear when you were listening to it without the subtitles? So you want to really check for yourself which words you completely didn't get. Maybe the word contractions, words like there's or won't or should have. Maybe there are words that are pronounced in a way that you didn't expect to hear.
Encyclopedia, poignant, lingerie.
Maybe this was the accent that you're not used to.
I've made one. What out of? Hey, it's really clever. And you don't need no sewing, no nothing. It's like, you can make it within a minute.
Whatever the reason is, simply count the number of words that you couldn't hear, or maybe the words that you misheard. Sometimes we think we hear a word, but it turns out that we hear a different word, very different from what people actually said. And sometimes the whole sentence is blurred and it sounds like one long sound and we have no idea what a person has just said. Pay attention to those moments. I would watch it back and forth until I really can hear every single word that I see on screen. That would be my exercise. And then I will mute the video and I will press play and I will try to read those lines myself and see if I can catch up. If you can catch up, then it means you really are good. You can read every line correctly and make sure that your pronunciation is also correct. Usually this exercise brings a lot of joy, and I always measure the level of joy. So after I have completed the exercise, and I make sure that I complete every exercise that I begin. I don't do exercises that I know will take me forever, and I know that I will not get this sense of accomplishment, and I know that I will feel guilty for not completing it. I just don't play this game. I try to choose an exercise that I can do every day and I can complete within 25 minutes max. This exercise will take me probably 25 minutes or so. If you are new to this exercise, it might take you longer, up to 40 minutes, but if it's too long, that means you're working with a video that's too long for you. Start with a 20-second video. Sometimes it's enough, really. Then on a scale from 1 to 10, ask yourself, how much joy did this exercise bring me? If your number is 8, 9, 10, you're doing great. If you start noticing that your number is kind of 6 all the time, probably you want to change something about your routine. So this was Wednesday. Thursday, day 4, what I would do is I would read out loud. This is a fantastic exercise. You can go to my SoundCloud account. I have a whole playlist of audio tracks, which is called Natalia Reads Out Loud. I love reading out loud. I read fiction books, I read children's books, I read business books, different genres, poems too. Because when you read out loud, you are giving yourself a chance to learn to read things correctly. So you are definitely improving your pronunciation. And if you have an opportunity to listen to how a native speaker reads the same text, everybody who's taken the listening course, you can go to the resource library and always check yourself, always give feedback to yourself. Okay, this is my reading, but this is how a native speaker would read it. And trust me, at the very beginning of this journey, it's really not easy to give feedback to yourself and to understand even if you have an example from a native speaker, for many people it's still difficult to understand if they read it correctly. This is why I give individual feedback to each participant. And when you learn to give feedback to yourself, it gets a lot easier, and this exercise will take you less time for sure. Usually when I do this exercise right now, I read more than one paragraph. I read a page, but I started also with one paragraph only. And my audio tracks are usually 7 minutes long max, and I usually do 10 iterations max. These are my numbers, I know them, and if I need to do more than 10, I'm getting tired, and if I'm getting tired, I'm not enjoying the exercise anymore, and I don't want to go there. I want to enjoy my exercises, so I will choose the text that I will enjoy reading. If they're too difficult for me, I will not read the whole page. I will reduce the amount of work for myself, but I still want some challenge, so I'll just reduce the amount of work, but I'll still work on the complexity of the text. I will practice communicating that meaning and reading maybe long sentences or metaphors, or communicating different intonations that are not very usual for me. So reading the text out loud will force you understand everything you're reading. So you will learn to connect the dots and understand the connection between paragraphs or sentences. And this will hopefully also help you understand that in order to read something out loud, you need to check the pronunciation of every word that you're about to read. And ask yourself, what is your criteria? How do you know that you've read it well? My bar is pretty high. I want to sound as if I'm reading an audiobook, and I want to sound like an audiobook. So this is the quality I strive for. If you're new to this exercise, you may start with something more simple. You just want to read the paragraph correctly so that it sounds like a paragraph, not as a bunch of words or sentences that are completely disconnected from one another. This can be a good criterion, and remember to record yourself so you can listen back to what you were reading. And maybe not even today, but tomorrow or next week, you can listen back to your own work and do another exercise, like giving feedback to yourself. But you can keep track of your progress. I keep the recordings of all books that I read. I don't read the entire book, of course. Again, we're focusing on improving our pronunciation and listening skills. On Friday, I will record my thoughts about the book that I read yesterday. What did it make me think about? What I want to practice here is I call it a free flow speaking exercise. I want to practice thinking out loud in English, expressing my thoughts. And look, if this sounds weird to you, talking to yourself, listen to my podcast. If you feel like talking to yourself is a weird idea, listen to this podcast. In this episode of my podcast, I share strategies to do this exercise so that you really improve your speaking skills and so that you don't feel stupid. You don't feel like you're talking to a wall. So I will definitely record my thoughts about the book that I read. And actually right now I'm talking to a camera, so I'm kind of talking to no one and I'm kind of speaking to myself, but I don't feel stupid and I don't really care about the comments I will receive, or if I will receive any. It doesn't really matter. I am improving my ability to articulate my thoughts in English, and that is what counts. This can take me 10 minutes max, because I don't want my videos where I think out loud or where I develop some ideas or some insights that I got as I was reading that book or that page of a book. I don't want these videos to be longer than 10 minutes. I don't want my messages to be longer than 10 minutes. Of course, preparation may take some time. I need to think about something I want to say, but usually I don't think much. It's an idea that I got when I was reading this book already, and it should come very naturally to me. If it didn't come natural, I will skip this exercise. I will not do it. But if I want to develop some idea further and I want to test myself, can I say it myself in English? Do I have enough words to express this idea? then I will go into this and I will try. And another thing that I'm practicing here is I am teaching myself to eliminate filler words from my speech. It's still difficult for me, and I think it's difficult for most people, but when I record my thoughts about the book or about the idea or about a podcast or about an audiobook, I'm simply thinking out loud and I'm trying to make some argument maybe, or I'm developing some insight. I make sure that instead of filler words or filler sounds, I insert seconds of silence. And I'm very proud of myself when I listen back to my own audio file and I hear few or zero filler words. It really brings me a lot of joy. Saturday, what you can do, if you feel like it, the next day, you can either read something of a different genre, maybe a children's book, why not? Or a poem, but what I like to do is I like to revisit my own recording. I don't feel like revisiting it the same day that I recorded it. I usually do it the next day. I am already not so emotionally attached to my own video, and I listen back to what I said yesterday, and I have a pen in my hand and I write down all the mistakes that I hear, all the things that sound off, all the things I'm not sure about, the word combinations that I said, but I'm not sure if native speakers would say it, grammatical mistakes, filler words, wrong articles, the things that I know I need to improve. I'll make a list of things that are incorrect, like I divide a piece of paper into 2 columns. The incorrect things are here, and in front of each mistake, I will write down the correct variant. You need to do this in writing. And then you need to say each correct sentence out loud. Some things will be very obvious to you, trust me. You will hear yourself say that and you will go like, how could I have said that? I know that this is incorrect. How could I have said like something like catched if I know that it's caught? You know, so you correct that and you say each line out loud. If this is difficult for you to give feedback to yourself and you listen to your own audio and you go like, I don't really hear anything wrong, I don't hear that anything is off, it's okay, I can understand it, then take a pen and really transcribe at least 2 minutes of what you said. It means write down every word of what you said in that video or audio file. And when you look at your own thought process in writing, because you will be actually transcribing your thought process, you were supposed to be speaking spontaneously, you were supposed to be thinking out loud, you can learn so much about yourself, about how you think, about your thinking patterns, about the structure of your thought, the structure of your sentences. Because what happens with non-native speakers usually is if our thoughts are not structured, if they're abrupt, if we drop sentences halfway, if we're not really sure about what we want to say. So imagine all these fragments of thoughts, you know, in our head. And what most people do is that they will translate those thought fragments from their first language into their target language word by word. The result is a mess, really, because the structure of the English language is 99% very different from the structure of your first language. This is why if you translate them directly word by word, it's very hard for people to understand what you mean. You have to reorganize the whole thought and find a way to deliver the same idea to people who speak a different language, to people who think in a different language. Translation will not do it here. You need to do a little bit more work and a different type of work as well. And on a Sunday, I will work with a song. Again, if you take the listening course, there's a whole section with songs, and I don't just include any song there, they're all handpicked because you can practice different things with each song. Sometimes they disappear in age, sometimes some third conditionals or, you know, grammar, other grammar. But there's always a clear protocol that you can follow how exactly you work with songs. Okay, you don't just listen to a song and that's it, you've completed the exercise. No, you really follow the protocol and you reach a stage at which you understand that you have completed the exercise. The purpose is to really hear every single word that people sing, because that's the trouble with songs. We like the song, we like the rhythm, but most non-native speakers have no idea what the song is about. Learning to understand it, learning to understand how connected speech works, because songs are brilliant material to practice understanding connected speech, and then you can practice saying it yourself. You can sing the song, because if you like the song, you will probably sing it all day long, again and again. And this is good because in order to make something yours, to make something truly yours, you gotta repeat it. You're gonna sing it and you repeat it many, many times. And sounds so wonderful here. I will work with a song. I will learn a song by heart. I will practice understanding it. And the easiest way here is to go to genius.com, open the lyrics of the song, listen to the song and look at the lyrics and see if you can sing along. Learn one song. It's gonna bring you so much joy. Just choose a song that you genuinely like. And remember that every exercise that I showed you today should be completed. You need a very clear sense of accomplishment every time you complete each exercise, okay? This is part of my practice routine. I did it. I know what I did. I was focused. It's not just something you do, it's deliberate practice. This is why I choose to work with very small text, 1 paragraph max, or very short videos, 1 minute max, so that you can really concentrate and do the work. And you really feel that you have completed the work after the work is done. And that gives so much joy, so much food for thought. You have to stop here and continue with your day, but you will go back to this mentally because, you know, you learn something interesting, and the most beautiful part of it is that you will want to go back to your daily practice routine, or maybe it's not even daily, but you will want to go back to practicing your English skills. If you spend 2 hours every day learning English grammar or memorizing words, it's probably not very enjoyable, and a lot of people feel very enthusiastic first, but then they're so burned out and they feel like they want to quit, but they feel guilty for wanting to quit. And it's a never-ending vicious cycle. You decide, really. I like to have my own practice routine, and I realize that if I don't have it, then we can't really be talking about continuous improvement or anything like that. You need a routine, and it means deliberate practice, but it needs to bring a lot of joy. I hope you liked the video. If you have your tips on how to establish practice routine when you learn a foreign language, please share them in the comments, and I'll see you in the next videos.